'Cause it's Monday, oh, it's Monday. Oh, it is Monday, it's a 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 Monday, what is up, 'cause it's Monday. Where's the internet thing? Where is it? When does the internet thing come? Internet! Oh, there we go. I think I got it. Did I get it? Let's see. Who is first to the live chat? Jennifer J. Sarcino, winner of the first to the live chat. What's going on? South Carolina Cichlids, what's up? Aquarium Co-op, what's going on? It's internet time. Big Pedro's here, Hans Hartman, and a Sergeant Tank with some sneaky surprises. Surprises, you dogs! Oh, you gotta watch out sometimes. Only the dogs are here. I can only yell surprises at the dogs. As you can see, I look fully equipped to handle Monday morning, right? This is a Monday morning kind of a look. We had a bunch of stuff get rescheduled. We have a bunch of stuff that got rescheduled, so basically doing a Monday morning here as a pseudo apology for not doing the Sunday two-man live stream, which didn't happen last night. Those of you that tune in and paying attention noticed that probably didn't happen. I have a very limited way of letting people know, though, if something is not going to happen or not. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Figure out how to, send out a message to the interneters out there, other than uploading like a short video, like some kind of goofy 2-minute video of like, hey, this is a video to say that there won't be any video tonight. Because we just basically ran out of time yesterday. There just wasn't enough time in the day to get everything that we wanted to get done. Namely because they're like driving around in cars and trying to figure things out. Kevin Hayes just dropping by to say hi. He doesn't have Wi-Fi's in Indiana or wherever he's working today, and can't do the deal. But man, I got bug bit yesterday, and of course I'm scratching at it like a hillbilly. That is part of what we'll talk about today, because we went on that hike last night. Yesterday we went up Mount Belgica, and I'm gonna type it in here because it's a difficult one to look up if you have no idea when somebody says Belgica what you're talking about, because I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly or not. I didn't get any video while I was out there, actually, just some still images and stuff of basically what it's like out there, and we'll check in on some of that stuff. I know I'll always normally the hikes, I update them. I put up stuff on Instagram is typically where I'll like put stuff where we're going like that. Sergeant Tank was saying shed a few tears, but you knew I'd be back. That's right. Because if you know if I'm not going to be back, you generally know that I'll put up a video if I'm not going to come back. Which is funny, because I was talking about that recently with one of the moderators on here, who was talking about how long of a break that I took. And, for me, realistically, like when I took a break from YouTube and stuff, it just, for me, I really had the feeling that I basically just kind of stopped doing it for like a week or something. And the reality is that I had dropped out for a really long time. Like a year or something like that? I don't know. It was quite a long time. And I was looking back on it, and I realized, like, Oh, it's much more. It was a much longer break than I had even thought I had taken in my own world. But that was especially in relation to me getting sober and stuff. I basically was spending all my time going to meetings and what you call it, therapy and all that kind of stuff. I was spending a lot of time doing that. Plus, I was like, all my other time I was spent was just like working out. I basically just needed to get my whole body and brain back into shape, and that took a lot longer than I thought. I thought it was only a really short amount of time. But, you know, looking back, backtracking through the records, it was much longer than I thought. So, and B. Tim's, what's up, man? You're wanting to talk about internal parasites and things. So maybe we'll run over some of that at some point in time here on how to eradicate them and things along those natures. Along those natures. Well, I mean, if I can speak properly, then that will be helpful, right? So we'll definitely run over some of that stuff for sure. Let's see, what else was I running through here? Hold on, I got the other stuff that's going on. Dark Heart Animals here. What's up? The internet's has arrived. Yep, takes 1 year at least for your brain cells to start to heal themselves. Yeah, it was one of those weird conversations that I was having because, you know, for me, it felt like such a really short break from doing YouTube or doing videos or doing anything like that. Turns out it was way longer than my perceived amount of time. So we'll definitely get to that stuff. Or it definitely just took longer than I had initially thought, and it seemed to me that people were over exaggerating how long I was away, and I think you know, that was just me going like, "Hey man, it's cool. What's the deal? What's the big deal?" But then I look back through it and realized like, oh yeah, that was a little bit longer than I had thought. Oops. But the time took what a time took to basically get there, which led to another conversation that I had recently that a friend of mine had posted a thing about, you know, like sometimes fast, sometimes slow. Like, you know, how these projects or whatever you want to talk about, they may come really quickly, sometimes they come really slowly, all that kind of stuff. Which obviously is a parallel to everything in life, right? Like everything in life either could go really quickly or really slowly or whatever, you know. So almost any project worthwhile doing is probably going to take a long time. So it took longer than I thought, looking back on it, but let's not stress out about that stuff, because if we're trying to get to the end goal, the end line, we just got to go at the pace that we got to go at, right? So, which is always a reminder. I go out into my fish room and I start thinking, oh man, I don't have enough done in here. But then I do realize like that I've got quite a bit more done than I thought. So it's coming along pretty well. Let's hold on a second here. Let's try to line everything up, because I got a few notes here that I want to talk about, and then we'll so I think we'll get to the parasites here in a little bit, but I want to run through a few of the things so that I know what we're supposed to be doing today, right? So I have a big appointment today around 1 o'clock, so I'm going to try and get some stuff done after that whenever I get back. And the stuff that I'm going to do is one of the things I'm going to do. So you guys saw in the last video, I think, or the video before, I was changing the Cheeto in my sump and doing a bit of a refugium. So I'm actually going to do a little of a refugium with an old skimmer that I have. So this will be a little bit of an experiment, and I'm going to run one of those GU10 bulbs directly into the top of it. A little bit of an experimental kind of thing that I'll be kind of messing around with and see how well that works versus a kind of a traditional refugium, if this sort of makes sense to y'all out there. I got some ideas from some from some internet homies that had some kind of cool little builds that I saw. So I think I'm going to do something along those lines. Obviously, I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything like that if I'm just using old equipment for new stuff. But I have a bunch of old skimmers lying around, and that I acquired over the I recently bought a guy's he had a whole bunch of just leftover equipment and live rock, and I wanted the live rock, and I got all of this extra stuff. It was basically a dude just clearing out his garage, and so we went and got all this extra stuff, and a big part of that extra stuff was a couple of old kind of broken, janky skimmers. So I've got those lying around, and I want to figure out something to do with them instead of just leaving them being old in a box in the shop, if you know what I'm saying. Roger Deadham showed up. What's up, my man? He just posted his first 3 videos, and I must say that they stink. I don't know how you guys do it. Well, Roger, I would say I wouldn't be too discouraged. I would just say keep working at it. It would be weird to start doing something like making videos or editing or anything for that matter and just be a genius right off the bat. And it just be the best thing that you've ever seen. It's just like any other project out there. You get better and better at it the more that you work at it and keep doing the stuff. So I would say just keep working at it if that's the case. Went ahead and threw you a little subscribe. So I subscribe to you. Little Roger Deadham there in the chat. Go subscribe to him. Let's see how he does. Let's see how he does over the next couple 5 years, right? Couple 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. Let's see how it goes. We'll just keep tracking whatever is going on for the next decade, right? Creeping, we'll just be creeping for 10 years. And then make a comment that says, thanks. All right. So one of the things I wanted to point out, I guess, in to tie this one-man conversation together, was that sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. A big part of that was for me was getting healthy physically and mentally. But the physical part, I felt like I didn't really know what I wanted to do physically, right? What I wanted to do. If there was a goal physically, what I wanted to do, I didn't really have one. It didn't make a lot of sense. So what I started doing is I started hiking. And realistically, I would say that this is the easiest way for anybody to get going with any kind of physical changes that you're trying to do, because it's a very limited amount of equipment needed, a really limited amount of knowledge ahead of time or any kind of things like that. You basically need some good shoes or boots or hiking, whatever you feel like comfortable hiking in, and a gallon jug of water. That's basically all you need. And then, obviously get to some kind of trail. Whereas some people have told me like, oh, I don't have transportation to get to these like crazy places that you guys go to, which I understand. At some point in time, you probably will have a car or a vehicle of some kind. You could probably carpool with some locals or whatever. But when I live in West Seattle, there was a place called Camp Long, which was actually just a local park, which you could just go hike around. It basically, if I had any advice to anybody out there that wants to start doing some of that physical stuff, start hiking, because you can go at your own pace. You get out into some fresh air, get out into nature a little bit, and there's a end point and a beginning point. However long it takes you to get there, there isn't anybody judging you or doing anything like that, and you will see a noticeable improvement in your physicality just by, realistically, hour, 2 hours here and there, a couple times a week. Go out, going uphill, going downhill, going around some flats, start out with some easy trails, and then start working your way up, and the next thing you know, you're realistically doing your own ascents to the top of a mountain like we did yesterday. Obviously a short mountain. It's not too crazy. That thing is like 5,800 feet or something like that at the top. So it's not outlandish or anything, but I'll go to some of the kind of the clips here. Let's go through the clips here so we can get this done, and then we'll start talking about parasites and stuff and how to treat for them. So here is so the hike that we were on is 3.6 miles in, 3.6 miles out. I believe. I think that's what the thing. I think that's what it is. I think that's right. Obviously, somebody like me, I end up taking all these little side hikes and stuff like that when I go up, which, you know, that's just reality. Oh, Punky Pam's here. Hola, Punky Pam. So here's like the first big marker in the hike is this small lake right here, which I almost had an opportunity to get a good picture of about a 9-inch rainbow trout that was in this little lake here. I don't know if rainbow trout are supposed to be this high up. Maybe somebody stocked it at some point in time with their favorite fish. Who knows? This hike isn't that far out there. It's pretty easy to just hike around out here, find a lot of campsites and things like that. I wouldn't say that it's crazy busy, but it's definitely not. It's definitely not like the New Frontier or something like that. You're not 1,000 miles deep in the Yukon or anything crazy like that, because you can find little campsites around. People are around this fairly regularly. It seems like the lower portions might be used by some teenagers, maybe having a bonfire weekend kind of stuff might be going on. But a reasonable hike, and this is essentially the first stop is this little lake here, just to give you guys some ideas of what it was like up in this this part of the Cascades here in Western Washington. So as you kind of pop through, you're going to find a lot of meadows and stuff like this. The one downside to being on this hike at this time of year is that, like I said, it's buggy. So you're going to get bit by mosquitoes and horseflies and all sorts of nonsense. Though Vicky and I did this hike last year in probably late October, maybe something like that, because the blueberries were pretty much in full swing on the end of their full run by that point in the season. So that was also a bright point. The blueberry bushes are all there right now this time of year, but there are no blueberries yet. They're at least probably a month out before anything edible is around. On the upside, you probably won't run into any crafty black bears warming up to some blueberries, if you know what I'm saying, this time of year. So I guess that's an upside. Downside, I didn't get to eat any blueberries. That as you guys know, if you've been following this channel for a long time, I have a huge affinity for blueberries. I mean, hell, we have 5 blueberry bushes here at the house, and hopefully we'll be expanding that even further. I'm sure Victoria's excited about more projects, right? But at some point in time, we'll definitely be expanding those bluesy berries, if you know what I'm saying. Ow, what the hell? Yeah, and so I guess that's an upside that there probably isn't any bears around, but there's a lot of bugs around for sure this time of year, so be sure to take some kind of covering or anything like that. I took a jacket. I wore a jacket even though it was about 80 degrees out. I still got bit on my neck and my arm somehow. A bit down here and a bit down here, but not overly too bad. Of course, the mosquitoes and stuff really like to go after Vicky. Who knows why? Who knows why they don't like me and they like her? But hey, you know, life on life's terms, right? Definitely did get some good shots of some weird flowers that I'll definitely be putting up on Instagram if anybody wants to check those out at some point in time. Here's one of them right here, and I wish I was better at identifying things like these flowers. Vicky is really good at it. So maybe she's quite the complimentary spouse to me to be able to identify things like this. But definitely a lot of stuff in bloom. Unfortunately, no blueberries this time of year, but a lot of plants were definitely in bloom, and things were going fairly well in regards to all of that. But I never, like I said, I'm never able to come up with the identification of any of these flowers. I just like to get pictures of them because I think they're pretty and relatively easy to take with just a cell phone in your pocket these days. And I don't need to bring my big old camera with me anymore to take pictures of things like wildflowers. So I always try to get as many pictures of all the different flowers I can when I'm out hiking. And I suppose maybe it is maybe that's part of the maybe that's kind of one of the little things that maybe that would be a hint of something for you guys that if you wanted to go hiking or whatever, something to do while you're out there is kind of identifying, like for me, I try to just find a bunch of wildflowers and get a picture of all of them. If that makes, I don't know, maybe that's just weird. I don't know. I know some people that go out and try to find fungus as much as possible and get pictures of weird mushrooms that they can find. I didn't really see any on this hike though, which is it's always cool to see some of those weird mountain mushrooms because a lot of them look like they're from Super Mario Brothers and stuff like that. I do have a picture of some of those somewhere. They seriously look like the mushrooms from the Super Mario Brothers that make you big. You know what I'm saying? But don't eat them because they won't make you big. Only Mario and Luigi. And maybe the princess. And that other guy, the Toad. But overall, enjoyable hike. Good little workout. This one isn't that bad. It's about an hour up and probably an hour back down. But here's the best part of it, realistically, the payoff once you get to the top. One of the big things that I like doing in regards to hiking and all this kind of stuff is that you do have a pretty discernible finish point when you get to the end of a trail or even on a loop trail. Like a loop trail, you'll end up back where you started, and you're like, that's my car over there. Okay, that's where now I go back home, I guess. But it definitely gives you a start point and a finish point. So that is something that is wildly helpful, especially as far as like working out issues that I've encountered in the past is like, there generally isn't necessarily like a soccer game or something that I could go play it that has a start and a finish and things that happen while it's going on. So hiking and mountaineering and rock climbing and all this kind of stuff definitely helps with me for sure, and it also helps with the whatchamacallit, meditation type period of the day because you can actually just be quiet and get in a rhythm and just be, kind of get in a rhythm and figure out what's going on around you and just keep going and definitely get your cardio up and get your heart rate up for an extended amount of time, which is very good for us these days. Sitting here doing a live stream is not very good for my health because my heart rate's at whatever, 2. But as you can see, the one of the big payoffs right here is that you can pretty much reach out and touch Mount Rainier. It feels like you can reach out and touch Mount Rainier. Obviously, no one's arm is that long, right, guys? And the perspective of the camera here doesn't really lend itself very much to exactly how close you are when you're really looking at it. It's just monstrous and right there, and you can definitely get this amazing view of it. Also, the view of all the other rolling hills around and all the interesting stuff that's going on around this peak is definitely, we were up there with some guys from Florida and a guy from Maryland and hadn't been here, so we kind of just hung out for about a half an hour, 45 minutes, and talked about just some of the flora and fauna and the uniqueness of the ecosystem that is here and that kind of stuff. Was definitely a lot of fun, and it's always cool. One of the great things I like about hiking is that it's doing a trail like this, especially, it's very well marked and all that kind of stuff. So kind of breaking up the group isn't that big of a deal or anything like that, because some people are going at their pace, some people are going at other people's pace, and it's not going to be that big of a deal because we can easily follow the trail. Whereas if we were like hunting or backwoods hiking or something like that, you have to stay together no matter what. And typically, this is just a personal affront, but people are really talking a lot while hiking. Just doesn't suit my personality necessarily. I kind of like the quiet. I kind of like the rambling along, and so that's what's going on with that personally in my head, but not in a bad way. But as I was trying to say, apparently for some reason that's what's going on with that. I don't really know why I was saying that, but overall, great trip. I had a great little Sunday, and then just straight up ran out of time as far as doing the Sunday live stream with the two guys. Derek had to go home, and we just did not have time to do it. So let's get, if B. Timms is still here, throw something in the chat, and we'll probably start talking about parasites and what to do. Building, oh yeah, and then here's another thing that I'm probably going to start at some point. Two things. One, I'm probably going to start building the lights for the 240 to get those hung up. Finally, it seems like it's been taking forever to get those going. I'll hopefully be getting the lights for the 240 hammered out with those LEDs that some of you have seen me use and operate in the past. I'd like to get those added in. And then this painting back here will be completed fairly soon. If you guys can see, it's turned the wrong, or with air quotes, the wrong direction. I'll be actually finishing that one today and starting some new projects that you guys can keep an eye on in the background. And I may or may not do some time lapse on there. Time lapse art projects. We'll see. Kind of comes down to you guys. If you guys really like, the art time lapse. I don't know if people really enjoy that or not. We'll see how it goes, though. Maybe I'll do a live stream of painting really quietly and just quietly painting in the silence. All right. So B. Timms has tried Metro, Prazipro, and Food Epsom salts, both in food and water column. Nothing has worked. All right, so what does he... Okay, so what have you got going on? Okay. So I guess we're going to try and work on this. So first off, let's think what kind of... so it sounds like you have rainbows. And internal parasites. So internal parasites are going to be stringy poops and lesions is what he's got going on. And it sounds like you have rainbow fish, I think. And you got them in the water column and in the food. Okay, so internal parasites, I think, as everyone out there knows, is going to be a real mess. It's going to be a big-time mess. The first thing I would recommend to do is to get a quarantine tank, because it's honestly going to be easier to treat the fish separate from whatever is going on in your planted tank. And this is always going to be kind of a problem, realistically. Because the plants and everything can cause... Okay, so the plants and the substrate and the driftwood and all that stuff, whatever you happen to have in your tank, can really affect whatever you're trying to treat with your fish, right? So the availability of kind of treatment that you're going to do with them and stuff like that is going to be problematic at best with trying to do any kind of treatment for the parasites and stuff like that, which okay, so you have a 20-gallon with cherry shrimp colony that could be used for quarantine. No, you wouldn't want to add these fish to any other tank. I would get dollar gallon sale, or maybe go on Craigslist and find a tank that you can properly clean clean ahead of time, and then just use a bare bottom tank and move all your fish over to actually get them treated, and then start treating the planted tank separately, if that makes sense. I know this sounds like a huge pain in the ass, but that's really where you're at right now, is you're kind of at pain in the ass point, is and realistically it's gonna be pretty difficult to get this stuff figured out with what's going on in your tank. And that's another reason why I always try to recommend to people that if you're gonna add something to a planted tank or whatever, that you always want to quarantine anything for sure. But if you add something, it's like adding something to a reef or a planted tank. It's going to be really extensive to try and get things sorted out as you're going along, because treating within the tank is going to be problematic, because you're going to have to remove any kind of charcoal filtration, any kind of UV, any kind of filters or any of that kind of stuff. You're gonna have to pull out and change a bunch of stuff, because most medication will be eliminated by the filter, whatever filter material that you're adding, that you're adding to the tank, will more often than not be filtered out one way or another. So I'm actually trying to read a little bit. I'm trying to read something here real quick, because I'm trying to read the warnings on levamisole. Levamisole is one that I would look into using for sure, because you can essentially run it and dose like 3 to 5 hours or something like that. So you can run generally like 2 cycles of it a day. Might be one of the good ways to go. And then I know that you can do it in a planted tank. So if you really have no open availability to try something else, I would actually move one of your filters from the planted tank to like that 5-gallon that you have. You have an empty 5-gallon. I would, do some chlorine treated water, some nice clean water in that 5-gallon. Get all the chlorine out of it and all that stuff. Use that and run your filter into that 5-gallon in the meantime. And then you're basically going to have to do the levamisole, which I'm not sure who hold on, let me see if there's like a different name that levamisole is sold under. Let me see here. Wait, hold on. No, levamisole HCI powder is what it's called. Yeah, levamisole seems to be the one that I've used in the past, other than let me think of the name here. I'm gonna brain fart, you guys. Hold on. Prezi Pro is probably one that I've used, and I've definitely used salt in the past, but salt will definitely go with salt will definitely do kind of external parasites. Salt and temperature will definitely be the best route to go there, though I've seen it have issues, affect the issues of the substrate, because of you certainly end up with a what's the word I'm thinking here, sort of kind of brackish condition. What's the word, Biddy? Well, you basically get the Your substrates will essentially pick up some salts from the water, and kind of carry those for a little while, and you have to go through some certain water changes, that's for sure. All right, let's see. Greg Sage. Because we got G-Bear here recommending Greg Sage. Select Aquatics. Levamisole for sale. He's got it right there. Yeah, so Greg Sage, obviously. Apparently great. Great. That is a great dude, and I would trust that guy for sure. Even met the guy. Super nice dude. But yeah, I guess I would go to Greg Sage, Select Aquatics, and get some of that Levamisole from him. It looks like it's only 15, maybe $20, something like that. So I think that's going to be pretty reasonable, I would imagine. And that's like a 3 to 5 day cycle, for sure. And then keep it going for like a month. So I think it's a if I can remember properly in my brain pan, I think it's 3 to 5 days. So it's like just under a week, right? And then do that for, I think, is it a month to 3 months. And then also one of the things that you want to do is make sure that you're getting some good greenage into your fish's system to be able to kind of push through. That's something that you also want to do is what I've always done in the past is mashed up some peas and mixed it with a little bit of good fish food, generally like NLS or something like that, and mashed up the peas and mixed it with some fish food and get them just that little bit of green pea fiber. Fish like green peas. My dog likes green peas. Everybody likes green peas, right? But mashed up some green peas and then add that into the fish food is going to definitely give them, make sure they have enough fiber to be pushing through all that kind of nonsense that's going on. So seeing as how you don't have a quarantine tank to do them all separately, I would generally, I guess, just be treating it all together, and hopefully that will treat the whole tank. And I've never seen a real negative effect coming on, but you are going to have to keep doing water changes on it to make sure that you are dropping down that medication out of the system. So I would keep that in mind. But I think it's a 90-day period, I think, that you're really shooting for. So I would write it down on the calendar and probably do it once every 2 weeks. I think is probably more reasonable, because you want to make sure that this is completely cycled out of your system. Obviously, if you have rainbow fish, a heavily planted tank, you've probably put a lot of time and effort into this tank, into these fish. So I would definitely go that route and just do a 90 days, like once every 2 weeks, and then keep doing your water changes after the fact, and just make sure that you're doing your weekly water changes at the very least. But I would probably do 2 water changes a week. So let's say you dosed on Monday, right? Monday, then you'd let it go until Thursday evening, right? Because it's like I think it's a 3-day treatment, how long it goes. So then you do a water change on Thursday, and then do a water change on Sunday, and then treat maybe again with the week in between. That's how I would organize it for me, because it's easy for me to remember that. Like as the week goes along, I'm able to remember those days. Okay, so it seems like you have an ongoing problem that it maybe keeps coming back, which is why I would say keep treating over this long-term period, because almost any kind of parasite has these weird life cycles where they'll kind of be dormant for a little while because we can't see them. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. If we could see them, maybe we could figure out what's going on. Most of them are operating at a really, really, really small level. You know what I'm saying? Microscopes, sciences. But I would just keep running through that so you can hopefully get it completely through the system. You'll be able to hit, any kind of anything that may or may not be dormant, and you're not noticing any effects or whatever, but they might exist. Like ick would be a perfect example. Ick is the most common one, but ick is going through a life cycle, right? And the only times that you can really kill ick is when it's transitioning from the fish to the substrate, if that makes sense. I mean, that's a real layman's way to do it, but you're not going to really see any effect when that's happening to the fish and whatnot. So that's why I would do like a 90-day cycle and do it like every 2 weeks, because you're going to keep rolling through it and you're going to keep having problems and stuff. This B. Tim says the symptoms of white poop mixed with the lesions confuses me as to what exactly the parasites are. That is a little bit. Honestly, that is confusing to me, and I mean, in all reality's sake, it's very difficult to translate from, from your explanation to know exactly what is going on in your tank, because, like I'm not there, so it's difficult to see exactly what is going on, see what's happening. But I would treat with the levamisole and go that route, because it's not necessarily completely broad spectrum, but it definitely, if you've tried those other medications, then I would try the next one. And as rough as it seems, that realistically is the same way that doctors would do it with people, is you're like kind of just trying to find the biggest symptoms and then see what treatment is going to work. And it seems rough on your fish and stuff, but like I said, if you're feeding, some peas, and make sure you have good food and you're doing your water changes and stuff, you're going to have to keep working on it as time goes on. But that in any kind of established tank, if you get any kind of parasite or any kind of issue going on, is that it's going to keep happening, because you have an established system that has an opportunity for things to live and breed and grow and go through their whole life cycle. So I've seen oftentimes, and I'm just going to stick with ick because most people know ick, but I've seen a lot of times people treat and then it comes back like 3 weeks later because they didn't run the full treatment cycle of the lifespan of the ick to actually knock it all out. So essentially, that's kind of what the advice that I'm giving you is, to just keep rolling through and cycling so that you're going to get a chance to kill them all, kill off all of the parasitic problems that you're having. So that's where I would go. That's the direction that I would go if it was my tank. I know it's a hair pulling situation. It's stressful. And I've been there before, man. But just if you're somebody like me that needs to just write down on a calendar what the hell I'm doing, then do that, and then follow what you're doing, and see what you got going on. Jack Betts is here. What's up? Matt Gilmet, you're late, but you're not super late. Just late enough to be fashionable, along with Ben Border. Ben Border, what's going on? Rob Hicks is here. What's going on? The Fish Life has arrived. Right on. What's up? I did change the chat font here a little bit for you guys in the video portion, so I think that's looking pretty snazzy. I'm gonna probably have to change it again because, I'm just that kind of weirdo. Lumps and lesions erode through the skin. Sometimes they look like bloat as well. Yeah, that is definitely a possibility. Especially with rainbow fish. So we'll see how that continues along. Hold on a second. Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, it is very difficult for me to figure out exactly what's going on from a text kind of description, because I'm not there to really know what exactly is going on with your fish. So there could be an issue that maybe hold on, let's look this up here. Oh, fish tuberculosis, microbacteriosis. Yeah, very well could be TB. Fish TB. Um, yeah, so I guess maybe keep looking through that. If it's TB, then it's really water quality. If it's TB, then it's really a water quality issue that you'd have to start focusing on. But this is all stuff, like I said, that's gonna kind of come up over time, because you're gonna have to keep working on that system to see what's going on over time to make sure that things are going the direction that you're wanting them to go, and if are the treatments working or the treatments not working. But you might be in a situation where you might want to. I know it's not necessarily the greatest advice in the world, but maybe there's a local that can come by your house. I don't know. Maybe a local fish club guy or something like that's pretty knowledgeable. That could maybe come by and take a look, or if you can get some photographs, then you could probably get a little bit closer, some ideas. If you could get some. Check some of your water parameters and test your water and let me know what's going on. Maybe you've got something weird going on with your water that needs to be sorted out. I would check all that stuff. You can go over to darkstararts.com. I'm going to type it into the chat here. And just like Ben Border was sent me email through Darkstar Arts, you can go to darkstararts.com and check my email is there. That you can email me in some more information, and then maybe we can address it further down the line. But that's what I would. So that's kind of the advice I would give you at this point. So if we're just kind of in search for more information necessarily, but if that's what was going on, we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going on over here. Just got a weird email from Amazon, so. All right, here we go. So we got Ben is sending a video with his fish room build. Oh, cool. Sweet. Okay, so we're gonna keep working on some advice for Ben's fish room as things are coming along. Definitely. So Ben was asking me about his fish room and what kind of filtration that he wanted to do with it, whether it's going to be a breeding setup or just a full display setup, or all that kind of stuff. So that's a perfect example. So Ben is sending me more information so I can try and give him a little bit more advice as things move along. So B. Tim's, that's what I would say. Try to get me some more information so we can kind of figure out what's going on. At the very least, if you sent me a bunch of pictures and stuff like that of what is happening with your fish and your water test quality, like maybe I don't know exactly what is going on, but I can pass them on to some other people. If I get really stumped, then I can pass them on to some other people, and we can get at least a good direction to head in for possible treatment or whatever you got going on, because you might just have a crazy water issue that maybe needs to be addressed at this point. You could have some kind of crazy pH. Your ammonia could be way off the charts or something like that. So I would get your water tested, figure out what's going on with your water quality, and then also maybe some pictures would be fantastic. Doesn't necessarily need to be a video or anything like that, but Ben did send me a video, and I got to make sure my sound is off. Oh, all right, so I'm gonna end up I'm gonna check this out at some point. Oh, he's talking in it. Oh, he's talking in it. I put the audio up. All right, don't put anybody's audio in the background there. Okay, so we'll actually be taking a look at Ben's fish room build. I can tell you right now, go ahead and seal up that concrete before you do anything else. You got them cinder block walls and stuff. I would get that sealed up before you do anything else. I wouldn't worry too much about the floor, but I would get that. He's got some cement block, concrete block walls and stuff. I would definitely get those sealed up before you do anything and put anything in front of it. So I would do that, but it looks like you got a build out going for sure, and I'll definitely look over that video before tonight's live stream comes along. So I'm, like I said earlier in the video, I'm kind of making up for missing yesterday, Sunday, doing this early stream here, and then we'll be most likely doing a regular stream this afternoon coming out. Turns out I don't think there's really very many people necessarily even watching or anything. So, but either way, it's a good time. And so B-Tims, if you go over to Darkstar Arts, you can find my email there. You can send me some more information, and we'll see what is going on with stuff, and maybe we can brainstorm a little bit more and figure out what's going on with your fish. All right. So we reviewed some hiking stuff. We talked about some other stuff. Let's talk about what was it we were going to talk about? Hold on. Let's look through the chat here, guys. Oh, everybody's just listening and doing stuff. This is a Monday, so I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that are probably generally just working and not going to be too wildly into whatever that is going on in the chat. So, like I said, I'm going to build the cabinets for the 240 freshwater tank. We're going to do the refugium for the freshwater tank, because I'm going to do a test one with an old skimmer that I have, and then I need to get some frozen shrimp today. We're going to do some frozen shrimp today to feed the anemone. So I'm going to pick up some basic frozen shrimp and find out what's going on with that. And 5-4 Punchy is the lurker, the master lurker. Gone Mad is here. What's up? And that is good. Gone Mad, we're actually going to be starting your painting fairly sooner. I probably should have emailed you back, but we're going to be starting your painting here fairly soon, because like I said, that big remodel project got pushed out till the end of September, sometime in fall or whatever. Whenever that is happening, I'm gonna find out today. Have a big meeting in regards to that, but which means I'm gonna be finishing this painting back here. So y'all that are bored at that same painting there being in the background, get ready, because that one is going to be changing and then disappearing fairly soon. So that's pretty good. I'm actually going to start the woodworking for Gone Mad's painting that he's looking for. Get the painting, the woodworking done for that portion, and then we also have a bunch of fish-related paintings coming up. Was what I'll be working on next. So anybody that's been wicked excited and asking me about fish-specific paintings. So the Patreon subscribers are there are only 9 of them. We lost a Patreon subscriber, so now there are only 9 of them. So here is the crazy thing, is that whoever at this point could slide into the 10 spot today and get themselves on the fast track to basically getting a painting from yours truly here by being a super duper Patreonizer, and I didn't really put it on there, but it's going to be the top 10 Patreon. The top 10 Patreon patronizers are going to be getting certain things from me as I make certain stuff throughout the years up and coming, depending on how that project goes. We'll see how that goes. It may or may not be funded. Who knows? We'll see what happens. I can't predict the future, but I know in the future I'm going to keep making stuff and then keep sending stuff to people. So realistically, the only downside with that is going to be me just basically paying shipping. So although not a huge ordeal, typically the United States Postal Office is generally pretty good about accommodating stuff to be shipped fairly cheaply. So we'll see how that works out in the long run here. I do have a bunch of canvases and stuff that are going to be sent out to the patronizers, which are probably going to be, I'm going to make some of those shrimps. So you can actually get in pretty cheap if you're really interested in getting some of those shrimp paintings. A lot of people have been saying, hey, where are you going to make those? I'm going to be making those fairly soon. And Punky Pam is asking, have I built the background for the tank that has the blue background? No, I haven't gotten to building that yet. Once that gets going, it's actually going to be a 2 or 3 day process, little bit by little bit, but I guarantee you there will be video of me making that, so you guys will have a good idea on how to make that background. The Shrimp 180 is just... The Shrimp 180 is just waiting, you know what I'm saying? It's just sitting there waiting because of all the other stuff that's going on around it. I basically want to get all the other tanks dialed in before I start messing with that shrimp tank, because the shrimp for it are most likely, they're going to be internationally shipped, and then they're going to be quarantined for a month separate from here. And then I'll know when those are coming. So if I have to make a mad scramble for, well, I really won't have to make a mad scramble, because I'll know once they've landed in America, then I have a 30-day time clock starts ticking, right? So I haven't been too frantic about getting that 180 working. It's just kind of sitting there, and I do have a little bit more coralline algae to still remove from it. So like I said, it's kind of sitting there just looking like a chore right now a little bit. So, the reality is that because it's just kind of sitting there and not really doing anything, it's just kind of sitting there and not doing anything. And it's looking like a chore right now a little bit. And so I'm just kind of letting it sit there. It's not going to go bad if it's sitting there. It's not going to rot. But yeah, like I'm finishing up some stuff on Victoria's tank to get Victoria's tank like fully established, rolling properly. I did get some new lights on it the other day, so you can actually see into the tank. Doing some water changes and gonna change the sump out fairly quickly to a 40-gallon. She's only got a 20-gallon sump on there right now, so I got a 40-gallon that we're gonna do. What happened, Beatty? Why are you sad? Why are you sad, mamas? Surprises! You silly dog. Gone Mad is saying, my girl and I were kayaking yesterday. She hit a rock under the water, stopped her dead in her tracks, and without a delay, I yelled out, surprises. Oh, hold on. I yelled out, surprises! And she laughed her butt off, which is good. Hey, man, let's keep the comedy going, right? Let's stick with it. Let's stick with it. Yeah. But we are coming up on the hour mark, so I think I'll use the last 2 minutes here to talk about Patreon or whatever. If you guys do happen to go to Darkstar Arts to get my email and go through there, just take a look, just a second to look at the Amazon banner. You can click through the Amazon banner and go buy whatever you want at Amazon, and it basically just forces Amazon to pay me a very small stipend for sending you there. It's always very confusing to a lot of people. I've had a lot of people go like, yeah, I clicked on it like 9 months ago. Like, anytime you click on some other advertising, it's going to end up going to that advertiser. It will for sure track via your computer, your phone, or whatever that you clicked through an advertising. So that's how that system works. That's why pop-up ads exist. That's why all that kind of craziness. And realistically, my goal here is to have 0 ads or anything like that, and all be essentially crowdfunded by you guys and me, and never have any kind of ads or any of that kind of horse shit involved into what we do here. So that is the long-term goal with the Patreon page, so you guys can keep track. I like the Patreon page because you guys can keep track of who is who's patronizers at the Patreon, and you know actually where we're at, where the goals are, whatever we're doing, and it's also like fully, you know, you guys can see what is actually happening, exactly how much money or this or that or is going in. That's why I like the Patreon, and it also will eliminate any of the old advertising, which I think is going to be pretty good down the line if we ever get there. Who knows? In the meantime, you all have to deal with silly Chevy commercials and whatever. But at the end here, I'm going to say thanks to all the patronizers because we have no super chatters today. So we give a shout out to Long Woo, who I will be at his house on Friday working on his 2 180-gallon shrimp tanks that he's setting up. Steven Skoglund, my man, straight out of Compton or something, not sure. Aquarium Co-op out of Edmonds. Corey, thank you very much. Joel Gillett out of New Zealanders. Thank you very much. M. Den Hollander, maybe Sweden? Finland? I don't know. I wish I knew. Sashimi Whiskey now lives in Washington. Jennifer Sarchicino now I think she's moving to not New Zealand, NV. Not NZ, NV, Nevada. Matt Gilmet, who I believe is a Canadian, and Karen KZ Ellis. Gosh, I don't know where she's from. Shoot. But either way, thank you very much to all the patronizers out there. And Dwayne, you showed up late, right at the end. But no worries, we'll have another live stream coming up tonight at some point in time while we go finish stuff. And Matt Gilmet with a big shout to Ohio. Ohio, you're in the middle of the United States, and that's the center of the middle. Oh, Big Pedro in Northern California. Oh, Roger Denham, all the way up from the upper right America. I'm in the upper left America. Maine. That's nice. Let's see. Desiree Hinkle had lots of fun yesterday setting up the fish rack my husband and I built. It's really cool to see things come together and work. The live chats really help. Thank you very much. Hey, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it for sure. Oh, hey, FU2 is coming out of SoCal, Southern California. Anaheim, born and raised. Either way, thank you very much, guys. We're over the hour mark here, but we'll be back this afternoon, and have a fantastic day out there. Don't go too crazy on this crazy, sassy, sassafras Monday, and, you know, keep it sassy. Stay sassy out there. Be like a sassy waitress from, I think the 30s is too far back, but maybe like 1948. Sassy waitress. Think on this Monday. Be sassy waitress. Circa 19. 48. Right? Later.